Okay, yep, there we go. So, everyone, this is GOL from Productions², and tonight we're going to do some streaming for Odyssian Void developments. There won't be any KSP on this one, even though the live stream title has it on there. I'll probably do some streaming for that tomorrow, but not tonight. So, yeah, last night we kind of went through and did some more stuff on OV, and kind of went over what I did to fix those issues, and we started talking about putting in some sort of inventory system. Well, I kept on working on that last night and this morning, and I decided not to use the list view or whatever that thing was, or the other thing either, the tile view. Instead, I am going to just do what I'm doing now, because what I came up with was actually pretty good. It looks pretty good. So let me just go ahead and show you what that is. So let's kind of go over what I did. Alright, so a couple things to deal with, but I created an event, when I keys pressed event, and tied it to a flip-flop. So what flip-flops do is they're basically a toggle. So it's either A or it's B, and if it's A, it passes this as a boolean and as a true, and you can use that to do stuff. So they're both going. Both these pins are pulled off onto this toggle inventory 2 function. But then there's this boolean. It's passing through a bool to the function, and the function does basically just sets whether or not the inventory widget is visible or not. Come over here to this, and I'll show you. Basically, all we do is we just get that. We set BM is invisible. BM is enabled, which is a function up here. B inventory is enabled, and then we take that off a branch, and based on what it is, true or false, we set the inventory visibility state enum to either visible or collapsed. Now, the reason I'm using collapsed is because that hides it, and essentially, if you think about it in terms of like HTML programming, CSS, collapsed is similar to display none, where the contents are hidden and they don't take up any space on the page. Similarly, collapsed hides the widget and then also makes it so that any widgets that are around it that would be affected by it, that are affected by it being like, as far as their placement by its bounding box, don't get affected by it. So basically it hides it and doesn't draw it at all to the window. Now there's a bug or something I have to figure out, which is that the inventory always starts open, but it starts open and disabled instead of hidden. I need to figure out exactly why. I'm not entirely sure. Because I started as enabled false and I started on visibility collapsed. But it always shows up at the beginning. So it may be something we have to set through a function call somewhere to just make sure it's closed. And then also the inventory tile. So these are the tiles that I came up with. Let me go to the designer. So this is a canvas, and the reason I'm using a canvas for is because if you don't use a canvas, then you can only have one layer on top of your buttons. So if you want to do like a button type of tile for your inventory, to where you can do stuff by clicking on it, but you want to have other things overlaid on top of it, you have to use a canvas in order to have the proper, you have to have something to be the parent. In other words, if the parent's the button, you can only put one other thing on top of it, and that's going to be your image widget. And then that's it. But if you want to have other information on top of it as well, then you have to have something else be the parent, not just a button. the root parent or whatever you want to call it. So that's why this is in a canvas. It doesn't really do anything. You don't technically need it, but it helps. This is kind of like a hack or a workaround or something. So anyway, so we have this this button here. This is the thing in the background. This is a text box that will have the name. This is a box that will have the number of items in the stack, and then this is an image widget that will load in the image file for the particular thing. So what what I'm going to do is actually I want to go ahead and we're going to create the image files for these. What is the size of this thing? Can I find that out somehow? Let's drag this out real quick. Yeah, that totally kind of messed it up, didn't it? Oh, there we go. Okay, we're gonna undo all the moving because apparently that's really screwed it up. Because you can't really. Oh, there it is, 32 by 32. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I didn't see that there before. All right, so 32 by 32. That's our tile, our image size that we have to work with. So we're just gonna do something really simple. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our elements and our ores that we created in the database. We're just gonna create an image that has their if they have one, their element symbol on it. So let me pull up the database really quick here. Where are you? SQLite experts. Oh, this one's version 5. Forgot I had version 5. Oh, never mind. This is version 5, isn't it? Alright, so iron, copper, magnesium, silver, gold, and platinum. So, I mean, I think it's SI, GD, PL, IN, CO, I think. I think that's what they all are. I haven't looked at the periodic table of elements in quite a while. So, let's go take a look. Periodic. I spelled elements kind of wrong. There we go. Well, that's not going to list what they actually are. Alright, so, magnesium, Mg. Okay, that's good. Silver. No, it's not that low on it. Gold and silver, they're kind of in here somewhere, I want to say. Maybe they're not, no, they might. Oh, there's copper. CU is copper, okay. AG and AU, okay. Yeah, that's right. AG and AU are copper and silver. or silver and gold. So MG, CU, AG, AU, and then iron is I something. Iron, where be you? Ah, FE. I was wrong on that one too. Damn. Okay, so yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create images that have these on them. So Photoshop is not open. Photoshop. Did I just close the desktop? I did close the desktop. Ah, get out of here. Wanted to close was that. Alright, now let's try this again. Photoshop. There we go. So 32 by 32. And I want to make them a bit transparent. Not too transparent, but a little bit transparent. Let's do new 32 by 32, 300, that's fine. Okay. It looks a lot, well I guess it's scaled up in the thing. Oh, true, it is scaled up, isn't it? Those are going to look weird then. We need to scale it. We need to change the scale and then actually change the image size. Actually, this could be easy. What we need to do is figure out what the scale is on those. What is this one? Yep, this is it. We want the other window, though. That's why. So, what do I have the scale at? Alright, so that's kind of interesting. Anyway, so I guess we could just try and mess around with so 32 times, well, let's say 5.5. So 176. Let's see where we get with that. I'm going to set the scale back to 1. And .76 by 176. That's closer. But so the X. No, it's the Y. 186. That should have been 86, not 18. That's a little too much. 182. That's about right where we want it. And this is going to be 198. No, more than that. 215. A little bit more. Well, it's 2015. That's wrong. 225. Okay, actually, we're at where we want to be, I guess. So maybe it is 215. Oh no, it's a little bit more. Because you can see this here, it's kind of, well, we can move this, I suppose. Let's realign it. Okay, so now what we want to do. So it's 215 by 182, or 220 by 182. So we want to take those same dimensions over here in Photoshop. Edit, image, canvas. Actually, image size, not canvas size. So so 20 by 182. Need an extra 2 pixels. Okay. So, we'll just make a bunch of layers here. Actually, no. We'll have one layer, which is the background. We'll have another, which will be the kind of opaque kind of color we're going to put on here. So, what I want to do is I want to grab like a, I guess we'll do a black. We'll just do a full black and then we'll just scale it back with the opacity and fill. We'll see how that works. And then on top of that, we're going to have some text layers. Alright, so we'll start out with and get the actual text to show up here. Oh, I know the issue. For some reason my default font is now 147 pixels now, no clue how to change it. So we'll start with 50. That's a little bit high. 25, 38. We also want to do some other font. That kind of looks a little bit too jagged. Oh wait, we're at I just realized we're like 400% or something on the. So that, of course, it would look really jagged. Let's go back into this real quick. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. So MG. I'd like that to be centered vertically and horizontally. Actually, I think we have to go the other way. It's kind of strange. I wonder if they have to be. Oh, because there's nothing to align it to on that one. It's empty. I think that's probably why. I will just position it manually then. So that's not going to work very well. Alright. So MG. File, save. Images. So MG icon. X. Well, it's not going to be the. That's what will do the full thing. So it's going to be 220 by 182. Okay. So, FE icon. And PNG 220 by 182. So the tutorial I was watching on YouTube doesn't have a second part. They never did it. It's an actual official Unreal channel tutorial. But they never went back and actually did the second one, so I don't exactly know the steps to do what we want to do from here in terms of wanting to be able to set up the button image based on the actual, based on some actual thing on the fly. So we'll have to see if we can figure that out. So AU is silver and AG is gold. Nope, other way around. I thought that sounded wrong. So AU is silver, AG is gold. Okay. And what this would normally be is like some sort of maybe scaled down thumbnail of a weapon or a ship or something. For now, though, we're just going to be doing really simple things like this. They'll be identifiable as to what they are, but they also won't take very much time to make. So that's the idea of this, is to make something that kind of works the way I want it to, but is also not as polished as it would otherwise be. Okay, then we need to do platinum. Pretty sure platinum is PL. Polonium. Don't want that. We want platinum. Trying to remember what group of metals it's in. I don't think it's a transition metal. Oh no, it is. It's PT, not PL. PT. Atomic number of 78. Okay, PNG. Okay, so there's all of our images. Now what we're gonna do is when we go to set up this thing, I think there's a function that we use to do that. Yeah, set image. Actually, we're going to pass through an image too. So actually what we can do is we can, from the player pawn, which I think is where we are doing our stuff from, up here, like set the name and whatnot. Or no, that's update inventory, main HUD. Yeah. So here you can kind of see I've used a sequence here so I could try using both of them, but I'm gonna pull this pin out because I'm not gonna use these ones anymore. We're gonna be using this section of stuff here. So we're gonna pull these up. Now, while we're doing this, all this stuff, what we also do is we also want to set up the image that we want to use. So first of all, I want to import those images that we just created. So we go to content. We'll create a new folder called textures. We'll also need one called materials as well. Textures, materials. Alright, and then new folder, UI. I will say, actually I'll call it ore. Ores. And then we want to import resources. And we want to go to wherever those got saved at. So those were saved at content OV sandbox. Project OV sandbox content images. Let's go date modified that way. You can pull them all out. So we'll do the same thing here. New folder, images, and we'll paste those in. So go type, and I'm going to bring these in. Alright, so now that we got those, what we need to do is go to our that window closed. Oh, that sucks. I gotta reopen everything again. That's fine, I guess. Main HUD. I think I need to worry about the inventory tile. So, in our thing here, what we need to do is we need to create a switch. I think it's called the switch. Switch on string. So, we're going to set the name, amount, and then we're going to go to here. And then from here, we'll go over to here. Or rather, not quite. So pull down the name. So the name will be iron ore. So there's probably a way to do this with an enum or something, but what we'll just do is we will, so I think we have to call create texture. So how can we get the texture? Convert a texture to parameter name. So use existing or maybe it's create an instance of I think there'd be a way to like pull that in somehow. Or maybe, I guess, do we have to, maybe we do have to make them materials. I was thinking we could just pull the texture and straight in, but maybe not. Oh, let's turn off context sensitive. Creates a specified element index optionally supplied material. So there is no. Damn. Okay, so yeah, let's go with these as a material. Or let's look at it this way. Let's think about this a different way. Assign image to button through blueprint. Change image. Image. So maybe we have to do create image. Maybe that's what we have to do. We're in the HUD, right? So set target image texture. Okay. Create an image from a texture. So, download image. But how is that even? To set image component, you'll need to get the image component. Set brush from texture node. I think this might be the wrong. I might have attached the wrong image or something. Pull off it. Set brush from texture. Okay, so go to our where is here? So set inventory tile. Light map 2D texture object reference. So do we, I guess, well, that'd be annoying. I guess we could, let's see, once again, if this video was a little bit longer, or, well, let me see. It says 04, so maybe there's an 05. Aha, there it is. Damn. Should have looked a bit harder.
Alright, we are back, and in the previous video we set up the display of our inventory system. We also populated it with inventory slot widgets, which we've also set up so that we can click on them and notify other blueprints that they have been clicked on. Open up the game HUD. So if we go down to the behavior section, in the inventory menu, we had set the ability to set is enabled. For the action menu, we can always leave it enabled. We're just going to toggle the visibility of it. So for the visibility, let's click the drop down and set that to be hidden by default. And then let's hop over to the graph and create a property value for that to be bound to. So on the by blue value, So, if you were going to do this in your own project, I would suggest that you move this inventory, this actual inventory variable here, into the player controller, and then upon event construct, populated with inventory structures. Also going to set this to true. The next thing that we're going to do, we're going to take all of our buttons, which are all these slots here. We're going to take all of these and drag them into the graph. So hold control, drag each one of these in. So, reference to all of our buttons. I'm actually just going to line them up so they're nice and neat like this. We're going to connect each of our buttons to the array. So, once we do one, the array will update to let us know that we can only connect buttons to it. Let's connect all of these up. So now that we have an array of all of our buttons, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to drag off the array output here. So now we have an array of them. And we're going to say for each loop. So for each loop, not the one with break, but just the for each loop. Select it. And once we have bite-sized chunks, I'm going to explain what's happening. So what we're doing is we're going to call a custom event. It's going to get from it. Move my length down a little bit. Move this up above it. Which we can then use to set the inventory image that should appear on our buttons. Now, what we the get that we are going to get is from our array index. Let's grab our array index and plug that into the get.
I guess that's the tile.
From our get, we can drag off this now, and we can say break inventory struct. So we can break that inventory structure apart, and it's going to give us a bunch of information, which we can then use to set the inventory image that should appear on our buttons. Now,
so break inventory struct. So we pull this down again. Let's see. Let's do a context. So I'm not seeing it. Perhaps I'm just gonna take these headphones off. Not well, yes and no. I'm actually using them right now, but that won't be once we get this figured out. So maybe there's a. So the main problem here is that we're not going to be making an array out of this because there's going to be an infinite number of potential things you can store. Oh, he calls it get. Inventory. And that's an array of
variable. This variable is going to be called inventory. So inventory. Down in the details panel, we're going to click the variable type and search for inventory struct. So inventory structure. Property value for that to be bound to. So on the My Blueprint panel, notify other blueprints that they have been clicked on. The functionality.
inventory struct.
So,
Let me go to the previous video. Perhaps I missed something over there.
the uniform grid panel, click and drag that into inventory slot 3, inventory slot 4, column 4. And the vertical alignment, let's select our text, and let's rename this actually something better than the text block. Let's call it. So the last thing that we're going to do in this video before we wrap is bind the enabled. So for our behavior, we're going to bind our first one that we're going to need to create in the My Blueprint panel. Click the Add Variable button. First variable we're going to create is called Activate Inventory. So let's click the drop is built upon Slate, so we are accessing Slate functionality here. So let's go ahead and select this eSlate visibility option. And we want the player to be able to activate the inventory by default. So go ahead and select Activate Inventory. And then for visibility, inventory system, and I'm going to pause the inventory system. We will continue the variable that we created allows us to define it to so the inventory slot inside of our bag with an image function for us called get brush.
I'm trying to remember if there was ever. I don't think you ever created something called inventory struct.
And these are the options for. We're going to want to have this same.
This is all for inventory slot. Maybe I missed it at the beginning of this.
Also set up so that we can click on them and notify other blueprints that they have. And then we're going to jump into the graph and start working with that for this particular moment. We're going to start out by grabbing a vertical box from the palette. So let's go to the palette and under palette, vertical box. Sure that this is a variable that is exposed to
Action menu.
And for this, we need to make some changes to this as well. So if we go down to the behavior section, enabled, we're just so, and it should be of the eSlate visibility variable type. So action visible. Now there's some other things that we need to do as well. Let's grab our action menu here. Let's select it in the hierarchy. So we'll have to drag that over to the inventory so that it's somewhere near the inventory. So mouse wheeling in to zoom in and out. Right clicking to drag around. Probably should have mentioned that earlier, but what I'm going to do it like that. Details panel. Going to center it up. Horizontally align it center. And then let's change the text content. Let's change this to set the Z order. So let's go to the details panel. Down under slide, there's an option for Z order. So both of our inventory menu. So next thing that we'll do, we need to add some buttons. This button. Then we're going to grab some text, left click, and drag that, drop that on top of that. So text on key for clarity. I'm going to select this button here. And remember that tint. So with all of those set up, there's one thing that we need to do for our use item text. This isn't the graph we need to set up for this. Double check. Create a variable. And this variable is going to be called inventory. And we're also going to click the array icon here to make this an array of inventory structures. So go ahead and select it. Inventory. Down in the details panel.
So, an array of inventory structs. Yeah, he didn't create that on the previous one. But I think that's going to be the image button itself. So create tile widget of inventory tile. Well, let's keep watching this here.
Left click, from our get, grab this pin and plug it into this one, because we're going to take our array index from our for loop and plug that in here. So this is going to be our condition. So we're going to plug in our condition.
Interesting.
Before we continue, I'll explain what's happening here. I know I was going to set up and create the whole thing, but maybe we'll break it up into bite-sized chunks and explain what's happening. So what we're doing is we're going to call a custom event. It's going to activate, allow us to activate our inventory so that we can display it. For each of our buttons, what we want to do is check how many things we have in our inventory. So for our for each loop, it's going to come through this for each loop, and each time it's going to get one of our buttons and the array index for the buttons, so the 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If that value is less than the number of items that we have in our inventory, what we're going to do is execute some script off of false to set our inventory image, the image that appears on top of our individual slots. We're going to set that to no, so that there's nothing inside of it and it zeroes out that button. So let's go ahead and do that. To do that, let's drag off the inventory variable here. Let's do a get is what we want. So we're going to get from it. Move my length down a little bit. Move this up above it. Like that. The get that we are going to get is from our array index. Let's grab our array index and plug that into the get, like so. And from our get, we can drag off this now, and we can say break inventory struct. So we can break that inventory structure apart, and it's going to give us a bunch of information, which we can then use to set the inventory image that should appear on our buttons. Now, what we want to check though with this branch here is, say we have 2 items in our inventory. So it's going to do 0 and 1 and say yes, 0 and 1 is less than 2. So go ahead and assign the inventory image. But when we get to 2, 3, and 4, especially like 4, for example, it's going to get to this branch and say 4, the array index of 4 is not less than the 2 items that we have in our inventory. So we are not going to do anything. We are going to set our inventory image to no. So that's what's occurring here. Okay, so let's set the inventory image that will appear on each of our buttons. We're going to do that by dragging off the array element. And we're going to set pickup image. So set our pickup image. And the value for that variable pickup image is going to be defined by the items inside of our inventory. And we're going to be able to get that by breaking the inventory structure here. So we're going to take the item image and just plug that into our pickup image. So we're going to connect the true to our set. I keep moving this node around. And then we're going to do the same thing for the false. So off the false, we're going to set pickup image. So drag off the array element and set pickup image. So, however, for the false, as I mentioned, we're going to set this to no. So it will zero out the image, thus making this button disabled. So we are almost done with the script here. The last thing that we need to do for this section here, at least, is find all of these buttons.
So we need to do an update. That's nice.
So, however, for the false, as I mentioned, we're going to set.
So, what we need to do now is we're going to do something I was going to wait to do, but we're going to do it now, which is we're going to extend the database a bit here. So we got this here. Now, for this version of the game, the database anyway, for this version, things that are in here are going to have paths to images and materials and things like that, so that we can just load them from the database. Or, better yet, we can make a table called I don't know. Well, it's not going to be a resource because we already have one called resource. File resource, I guess. So we'll call it. Okay, for the columns, we're going to have obviously int our ID field. We're going to have a column called type. So the type, so is it a resource? Is it a ship? What have you? So that we can connect the ID in here. Or actually, better yet, we're going to do a cross-reference table. So we're just going to have that, and then we're going to have a column called file path. Var char size, we'll say 5,000 characters. That should be more than enough. Way more than enough. Now, here's the interesting bit, though. Let me go see. I need to go check because for some reason, I'd really like to figure out why my relative pathing isn't working. Private crazy future devs. Adding flat file as an asset. Well, that's the exact same thing. So fpaths game content dir. Maybe this is what we need. Well, I was hoping for a little bit more information. What if we just look up fpaths instead of everything else? Get content dir. Game content or not get content. That's why I couldn't find it. Game content directory. Well, it doesn't have a. How hard is it to put a friggin' description on these things? Seriously. F-paths though, which does have a combine. So game content directory, which I would assume would get you to well, I guess we could find out. Let's hell, where are you? Where'd you go? I must have closed it. Let's open up the solution and we will add that in and then switch over to debugging mode and run it in debugging mode and see what comes out of that, if anything. One thing I've also found is that if you don't save, even if you compile it, if you don't save it, you'll actually lose the changes. I think it seems to work that way for me, but we'll need to close this. Okay. So in inventory, when we are setting things up, this will stop lagging and being stupid. Oh, IntelliStupid is doing its thing again. Checking for out-of-date files. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, done loading, maybe, yes. Enough that we can do stuff anyway. Let's go ahead and pull this down a bit. And what we'll do is when we are setting this up, before we do any of the other calls, I'm just going to call that fObjects path. So fstring test equals fpaths game content dir. Switch over to debug game editor. So if this takes us to the content folder, that's good, because then I just have to, in the database, say image or images or whatever I decide to call the folder, and then the file names. And of course, here we go again. Well, while IntelliSense is deciding whether or not it wants to continue shooting itself in the head, I'm going to go grab something to drink, and maybe by the time I'm back, it'll be done screwing itself up. Okay, and telestupid already done. Scanning includes for additional files. Scanning for more files and I can frack up. I've never seen Visual Studio crap out and choke up as much on anything as it has on Unreal Engine for some reason. Okay, so paths or path? Class F paths. So do we have to like include a file or something? Ah. Yes, we do. Alright, until since I don't care if you're done, you're gonna do this. I'm gonna make you do it. So what I'm hoping is that that will get us to where we need to be. Jesus. Yet again, it's hanging. Okay. Alright, building. So, I'll see if that works or not. I'm thinking it should. So where's this located at? Yeah, runtime core. So it should link to it. The linker should be able to find it, rather. Project content directory. Interesting. Well, why don't they mention that on their page? Oh, I know why. Because the documentation team that works for Epic are crap at their jobs. Where was that? Project directory, content directory, yes. Project content directory. If Epic were to give me maybe, $40 an hour, I'd go in there and I'd just write documentation for them all day. And good documentation too, not the crap they currently have. Actually, I'm gonna do a rebuild, just because I canceled the build halfway and there's probably some messed up files. it's done. Oh. Gotta add the volume on. Just as I was opening Adventure Communist. Always seems to help things along. Alright, so now that we got that done, I'm going to throw a breakpoint here. And we're going to load up the editor. Actually, it should be the one, should be directly after it. So we can actually see if what the value test gets. For a sinking reason, I feel it's going to just say F. That's all it's going to say. It's going to have just right to the friggin' F drive. It's not going to have anything for the path, for the whatever. So far, none of that kind of stuff has worked properly for whatever reason, but we shall see. Aha, there we go. It did work. Nice. Okay. So yeah, that's what we can do. So, what can we,
This to null, so it will zero out the image, thus making this button disabled. So we are almost done with this script here. The last thing that we need to do for this section clicked, we need to bind to that. Last thing that we need to, thus making this button disabled. So we are almost done with this script here. The last thing that we need to do for this section here at least is bind up or out the image, thus making this button disabled. So we are we're going to connect the true to our set.
okay, yeah, so that's what I was thinking. This is the inventory. And then we have a... So when he was setting up the inventory, let's go check that out.
What we're going to do for this, we're going to hop over to the hierarchy, top of image to a variable. Specify it here because we, and for our purposes, all we're going to, designer tab, option, can we do it? Oh, it does. All right, we didn't have to. Surprise, surprise. I thought I was going to have to delete it and recreate it. We need to have an input because we need to know which inventory slot, which slot inside of our inventory was clicked. We don't know that. All we're knowing is that we have clicked.
So pickup image.
Inventory slot, but we don't know which one inside of our inventory was clicked. We just create one more variable.
I think that's what I was thinking. So what we would do is maybe, I'm not entirely sure how it'll work, but there should be a way to set, let me go over here real quick, continue. I'll just hit stop real quick. I'm gonna go to the UI. And I'm going to go to here. And to the graph. Alright, so, we have this. We have a item inventory image. So I'm thinking is now as we create the tile widget, pull this off, get in item, pull this off, Now, before we continue, actually, let's go back to the inventory tile. What I want to do for the image. Oops. We can use textures. So if I say, I probably should have called them T. So that's what it would look like in game here. Now what I want to do though is I want to figure out a way to so get inventory image. Okay, so it's a brush. So maybe we need to set a brush, and then maybe on that we can, let's see. Make brush from texture. There's got to be a way to get like the texture though. Can we just drag it in here? I know we can do a lot of stuff, but like that, just dragging things around, but I'm not sure if you can do that with this. Yeah. So it has to be some has to be like referenced in here somehow. I mean, I really not want to have a bunch of these, so I'm going to figure out some way to do this. So what if we just pick a texture? Let me open that texture real quick. There's like no way to set. Yeah, it's like an imported item. There's no way. It's not like a file path or anything like that. Let me see. UE4 create texture. (2D texture, temp texture). Will not create a reference to it when dependencies are generated. So material instance. Change image texture using file path. Okay. Synchronous asset loading. Of course, this is 4.9, so who the hell knows if it still works. I mean, this shouldn't even be allowed. They should be, they should be forcing their... if there, well, maybe there hasn't been any changes, but I found cases where there's been changes and there's nothing been done to update the documentation, so crap doesn't work. Anyway, so... Okay, we'll do this the hard way. Well, we'll do this the stupid way first, I guess, technically. This is like taking a chainsaw to an anthill, but... So... Or actually, it was get... No, it wasn't get inventory image. The hell did we call that? Oh, okay, yeah. So we want to set this, which is set image. Okay. Yeah. So set. And we're gonna have a bunch of these. Like I said, it's chainsaw to a anthill, but this is what it takes. It's what it takes. Again, this is meant to be just kind of a proof of concept sort of thing, not necessarily meant to be what's going to be the final version of it. It's supposed to be a tech demo, showing off what something in the game might look like. Alright, so AG, AU, it's not going to be in any particular order, except for the order that, I guess, alphabetical, I suppose. So, AG, AU, so silver, gold, iron, magnesium, copper. Oh, we didn't create copper, did we? Thought I was missing something. Alright, so first off, iron. So that's going to be Fe. Oh, right. Okay, here's what we're going to do then. No, wait. Set image. Okay, we're going to make this different. We'll leave that there. We're going to take these out. Now we're going to change this to... Or actually, we can't have it have an... yeah, it won't let you have a pass to it. I remember now why we couldn't do it that way. So instead, this is we're going to change this to a brush. So, or we'll just drop it. Oh hell, it's gonna be a slate brush. Alright, then on set image, the param is going to be B, you know, oh, we pulled that one off. Oh, here we go. B should be enabled. I think we don't need that, I don't think. That was left over from something else. So we can actually just get rid of that, I think. Delete. For now, anyway. And then I think that's both on the same one. Nope, never mind. Delegate. Is enabled delegate. Oh, on the button. Remove. There we go. Okay. So now, yeah, there we go. So iron ore, magnesium ore. Copper we don't have done yet. silver, which is AU, gold, I'll definitely have to figure out a better way to do this, because this is not feasible for the long term. Actually, wait, I do need one more for copper. Not on this side, on the on these, I do on the texture side. I need to change this to CU for copper. Underscore 220 by 182. Okay, now we need to import that. This is starting to look like our server might work. All these friggin' wires everywhere, every which way. That much order. We'll have to fix all that up. So now what I'm thinking now is we have that. So once that's done, these all need to come over to here. Alright, so compiled. Let me go over real quick. I'm gonna delete all the breakpoints. Aha, there you go. We have images. Cool. So is that everything? Do we only have 6? Copper, iron, magnesium, silver, gold, and platinum. Yeah, I guess so. Cool. So this is kind of the makings of our inventory here. But as you can see, it's disabled, but not hidden right now. If I hit I, it becomes enabled here. And if I hit it again, now it works like it's supposed to. Need to figure out why it doesn't work the way it's supposed to the first time. So now these, you might think, oh, there's got these X1s here. Well, do those change? Well, let's find out. So I actually have not tested this yet. So let's go to our let's go back to let's go back to here. Now I want to add, basically what I'm going to do is I want to add 10 items to certain ones of these. So since we're going to do this, Let's short circuit this down to here instead. We'll break that link. I'm gonna pull these over. I wish I could select all these links somehow. Is there a way to do that? Damn it, guess there's no way to do it. Okay. Fine. Yeah, no, there isn't. Doesn't work that way either. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect them to this first here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the item amount. But before we get to this point, on platinum and on magnesium, we're going to update the item amounts on those. So update I amount. So for magnesium and for gold, oh, platinum I said. So we're going to say add, and we're going to say 10. Oh, hell, we can't do both at the same... That's right, we can only go one. Hell. That sucks. Okay, let's do it on the other side then. So magnesium goes to here. And then platinum's down here. That should work. So now what we're doing is we're before we set the item amounts, we're actually updating only magnesium and only platinum. The way this will work is because we're looping through our inventory items here, and we're just pulling one at a time, and then we're doing the switch based on the name. So it's going to be one name at a time. You're only going to have one of these every iteration through the loop, so that's how it'll work. So if we go and compile this and we load it, we should see that magnesium and platinum both have now 11 instead of 10, or instead of 1 when we play. Let me play this up. Well, kind of, sort of, yes and no. The it didn't load up that time. Oh, duh. I forgot we had to connect this up. That happens so often. I move something around and forget that you have to reconnect certain pins up to make things go. It's just this whole blueprint thing is kind of annoying. Alright. So now I'll turn it on. And yeah, see, magnesium and platinum both have 11. So how that works is it's actually a cast to a string, I think. So if I go to that updates, rather the set amount, that's on the, can I just double click on it? Yes, I can. So we have a variable called item stack size. I mentioned that before. So what happens is that we take our item amount, which is an integer, we cast it to a string, and then we append to that string, well, really it's a prepend, not an append, because we're putting the string this in next, or last, for the one that we're going to append something, append it to something, creating an X string literal, appending the number to it, then returning that to a set, and then that's what allows us to have that value there. So, just a little bit of on-screen trickery there, if you will. So cool, that's working though. Nice. For the most part. So we have 6, and it has 6 things showing. What if we have more? Let me go to the database. So yeah, I'm not going to worry about that right now. So let's create some more data. Let's go to, oops. Let's go to add name. Tungsten or tungsten, and periodic table. Where are you? I think I closed it. All right, that was the one we didn't want to use. So, manganese, rhodium, tungsten. I want to say it's like TU or something, but I'm not entirely certain that it is or not. Titanium, cadmium, technetium. That's a new one. Haven't heard that one before. Tungsten. Oh, there's tungsten. TEN. It's W. Wow. I was way off on that one. Tungsten. So tungsten. Description. Oh, it should be tungsten ore. Wow. Come on. Don't do that. No, don't do that, you son of a. Oh my god. Okay, there we go. Stop giving me crap. And we'll say 0.6, we'll say 96. What's another one? Osmium. Use osmium. And then, what else? We'll do a couple more. Thallium, lead, bismuth. Strontium. Where's beryllium? Oh, that's beryllium up there. BR, what is BR? Bromine, that's what it's... Interesting, so the elements that they show on the Breaking Bad logo are bromine and barium. So bromine, go ahead and put that in. Don't know if it's a gas or a liquid though. Oh, it's a non-metal. Okay, well, I won't use those then. Won't use that one then. Niobium. I didn't know that molybdenum was an actual element. I thought it was a composite. Iridium. Let's use iridium. That's a common one used in these kind of games. Iridium. Of course, that means more images, but... Okay. So we got some more in here. W, IR, and OS. We need to create those image files now. And OS. Alright, let's go ahead and import those into... We're also going to implement something else. We're going to implement an actual inventory space, so like a weight limit, if you will, to make it a little more understandable what I'm talking about. So it's not enough that you just have a cargo hold where you can put stuff. There has to be a limit on both the number of items you can have and the amount of space they take up. Which kind of seems one and the same, but it's kind of different. No, because I don't want to import the PSD files. So you'll have a limited number of cargo spaces, which you can increase through passive modules that you can put on a ship. And you also have a maximum cargo load or cargo weight or whatever. That'll be a certain amount of weight in SG². That once you get to, you won't be able to put anything more into your inventory, into your cargo hold. First, though, we need to import those new textures. So let's go do that. Alright, so we have another 3, which means we need to make this even more of a monstrosity than it already is. So... And this is already going to be really messed up, so at least for now. We'll just try and keep these in a smaller area. It's platinum ore, iridium ore. Osmium ore. And tungsten ore. And I didn't name those right, but that's fine. Did I forget tungsten again? W. Oh no, W. It's W. That's right. So it's actually at the bottom. Okay. So iridium, tungsten, and osmium. Okay, so we have our new stuff in there. Interesting. Actually, there is one missing. Iridium. Did we... No, it's over there. That's interesting. So what did we mess up on that one? Ah, the name is probably not right. Yeah, that's the problem. There we go. So no, it does scale up for it. My question is, does it? Well, I guess we'll find that out later. If it goes into like a scroll or something when we go too far. maybe we need to put a scroll box inside of the wrap widget so that it'll, or maybe put a wrap inside of a scroll box. That might be a better way to do it. So that it'll go until it gets to a certain point and then you'll be able to scroll through the inventory. Anyway, so now what we want to do is we want to actually take the size amounts and we want to actually use them. So what we want to do is we want to go to the player blueprint. So we have our max cargo here. It's set to 100,000. Let's change this down to just, so this is in SG². So let's change this down to 10. What's the heaviest, what's the heaviest we have here? Iridium? Okay, so that's 9. So here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to do, try and do a single one of these. We're going to change this to 9, so we're only going to bring in iridium to our inventory. And then what we're going to do is on tick, we're going to add 1 until we get to the max cargo. Now I'm going to go take a look at the inventory tile real quick. Okay, stack size. So I also want to, we'll figure out what we want to do about that. I also want there to be a maximum stack size. So, like, for example, you can only have, you know, 50,000 iridium ore on one stack, and then you create another inventory item for it. But we'll deal with that later. So what we want to do is not in here. Just wanted to take a look at that and think about it for a second. So, on tick. So on tick, we want to call cargo. Okay, so let's create a function that will update cargo itself, so we don't have to do it directly. That way we can pass through a bunch of things and or pass through some things and have it do stuff. So we're going to call this update cargo. We'll make it a lot more complex to handle more situations later, but for now we're just going to have it do a couple things. It's going to have one input, which is going to be a value, an integer value. And say new inv item amount. And we're going to have another one actually, we're going to have 2. This one will be a string, and it's going to be the operation, so. Next we're going to call, next we're going to pull in cargo. So cargo's inventory. Let's see. Let's also pass through. So I'm not sure if I want to do an index of where the item is, because there's going to be a couple of conditions here. So first of all, what this will do is it'll handle a lot of the different things in terms of updating the cargo. So blueprints will call this function, and it'll have a bunch of functionality in it that will either determine if we're going to update a specific item, if we're just going to throw an item onto a stack of similar items. So for example, if we have 2 stacks of copper ore, both of them aren't max, we just want to find the first one that's not maxed out and put it on there. And that's what this will do. And I forgot I had Adventure Communists open. I got to my phone's plugged in. For now, though, I think we'll just throw in the ID of the item. So crap, I'll have to re-add it. For whatever reason, you can't rename variables once you've already named them once. Parameters, I should say. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to need to create a function over here, because I thought I had, but we haven't. So in the inventory, we've got our stuff set up. We got get item data, which gets all the data from the database. We've got inventory setup. We've got get inventory, which pulls in the T array of view items. But what if we don't want to have to loop through an array? Because doing for loops inside of a blueprint is very resource inefficient. Well, the way we can handle that is we can let's make sure we save everything, because we're going to need to close this down so we can modify the code. Well, let's say then, well, we know what item we have because we just bought it, or it's we've generated it from someplace. It's not just some random thing. We know the specific item ID of the item we want to add. We just want to see if it exists, and if it does exist, are there any stacks that have space? And if there are, can we add the item without going over a maximum cargo limit, size limit, space limit. So, this is also where actually we can handle, well, we'll wait for that. We'll do that later. We'll set the cargo space in here. So we're going to create a couple new functions here, functions and parameters. Actually, this will be a U property. So blueprints. Yeah, read write. This is going to be a float. Then we're going to make an int max stack size. And then we need to create a couple new functions. U function blueprint callable. I don't care about the category stuff for now. It's going to be a boolean. So bool. We're going to say B does item exist. And we're going to pass through an int IID. Item ID. So now that we have that, we want to call a function to update the number of items. And a couple other ones. So number of items, check that the max stack size and max inventory space are not being overdone. So this one will be a void. And we'll call it add item. So int IID, int IAmount, string f string iType. I think that's all we need. Because when we add it, we'll do a query on this ID and pull out the information. From here, not from UItem. Then we need another one to update the amount. So ufunction blueprint callable void so we're going to pass through an int IID. We'll also pass through an int IDX, and we'll use either one of them, not both of them. And then an int IAmount. Then ufunction so yes, we would call this we would call these before we would do anything. So first we'd check the stack size, then we'd check the inventory space. Well, let's see. Actually, I think these will be bools too. And if they can't be added for some reason, we'll pass back a false and display an error message or something. Now, given that we're doing that, these don't have to be U functions. These can be just regular defined ones. Void. Rather. Bool. Is OpenStack or found OpenStack. We'll pass through int IID, int IDX. Now for this one, we won't pass anything through. We'll just loop through the existing inventory and calculate up how much SG² it is, and then compare it to the max stack size. Let's go ahead and move these up. Whoops. Left the B behind. Alright, so let's grab these. Actually, we don't even need these uFunction declares in the implementation file. We just need them in the header. Just recently found that out, so we can actually clean this up quite a bit. Whoops. All right. So, B, does item exist? So, I'm going to say the items in the inventory. So for each, or rather just for U item if ITM get IID equals IID, then return true, else return false. So add item. So we would call that function before we would call one of these other ones. Now, open stack and undermatched cargo limit. Well, at least open stack. That one will be... well, I guess we would do both of them, actually. They'd be called before we do anything else, because before we do anything else, we want to make sure first if there is a stack that's open. If not, then we want to create a new one. And then the max cargo limit we need to check first, I think, because if you don't have enough space, then that kills everything. So, if be under max cargo limit. So all we just want to do is just again do a for U item and then cargo size plus equals item get I SG2 times item get I amount. Then once that's done, if cur I'm rethinking this one now. So we're adding items. We want to see if the new items pushes over the cargo limit. Well, yeah, eventually. I won't do that now, but that's eventually what's going to happen with it. It's greater than max in space. Oh. That's the problem. Okay, so now we have to call if now this one we have to pass through so for this one, what we want to do is, again, one of these. And essentially, what we want to do is basically say if ITM get IID equals IID and if ITM get I amount, this less than or equal to max stack size, or sorry, less than, not equal to. Then what we want to do is we want to call ITM so the new val, which is going to be I amount, and we're going to add. Now we're going to say else, and I'm going to explicitly state this, even though, because we want to make sure we are only firing this else if this is true. Oh, plus I amount. I know I forgot something in there. Or actually, no, we don't need that there. We just do that and then we hit return true. If we don't return true, that means that there wasn't an open stack. So since we got here, there was no open stack. So we need to create a new uItem for this item. So uItem, new item equals new object uItem. Or actually, so first what we want to do is we want to call data handler. And actually, this should be out here. Technically, this shouldn't be in here either, to be honest. This should just return whether it found a stack, and if it did, then to add it up here, but this will work for now. The reason I'm going to do that for is because we have the type up here. I don't want to have to pass that through to the found open stack. So, first things first, dhandle handler, and then what's the command? Query data. So tchar to ANSI itype. String op will be select, and the ID will be IID. Then once that's done, all we have to do is call our singleton object. So new item equals dhandler return item. Oh, I created it up there. Thought maybe it was a class member. But it ain't. Alright. So instead of using IID, well, we can use IID, but for, like, say, SG2, we need to pass through new item.isg2. Name and description. So it'll be new item dot iname dot cstr. Then env items dot add new item. Technically we don't need that one. We'll call add item instead. So basically folded that functionality into from that one into this as well by doing this down here. Okay. So let's get rid of that. Now let me go ahead and build it. See if we got any issues. Adam doesn't know all of that return to control path. Blah. So we need to have more returns, I guess. Oh, return true. Well, technically that'll build it too. So now what we need to do is we need to, still. No, yeah, they all, else. No, I guess we'll put it there. Well, technically they both should return true at this point. So actually what we can do is save ourselves a little bit of code here and just put a return true at the end of this. Because either it's being added as a new item to the inventory or it's being added to a stack of items in the inventory. So we don't really care whether or not it's... The only time we care to return false is when we actually are over the maximum cargo limit or at it. So we don't add too much in. So what we'll have to do now in the editors, we'll have to set these values when we create the inventory. The max inventory space and the max stack size. Then what we'll do is we'll add one item over and over and over and over again until we reach the maximum stack size. So let's go to our blueprint editor for this. And I'm not even gonna call this. We won't put anything in the inventory right now. Let's add the widgets, and then we'll add it down here. Alright, so first things first, we want to call update cargo. So 1, 9, op, add. And then we'll pull off this and update the inventory. Ah, I can drop the pin on the right place. Jeez, there we go. So every tick we're going to add one iridium. So on inventory setup, we'll just pull off inventory, I guess. Set inventory space. And get rid of max cargo since we won't need that now. We'll set this to 20 to start with. Well, not quite. We need one more stack size. Five. Okay. Let's see what happens. Did I forget to re-add? No, viewports there. We're calling. Okay. So let's have a look down here. Kind of have a look-see and see what's happening under the hood. Haven't tested the singleton one yet, so. Oh, ID. So then we say if oh, right. Two string on this one's the other way around. I was doing the VB2 string. Then I'm going to throw some breakpoints in here just to make sure we're getting the data. Okay. Oh, of course. That's what's going on. So cargo, add item. All right, here we go. So yeah, we got into here now. So we're adding this item. Iridium ore. Cool. All right. I didn't mean to stop it. Crap. Oh, we got the first one in. So that's interesting. Just looked down at my keyboard and realized that my Logitech Game Studio crapped out on me, so the time's not working on it. Another lovely bit of nonsense from LGS. And yeah, here we go. The stuff didn't save. That's what I figured. Yep, no. Alright, so, Okay, so now we're back to having the thing not show up. So I was trying to figure out what was going on. There we go. So accessed, none. Oh, we didn't. Okay, so we got that now. Still nothing on the screen. Access none, trying to read property cargo. Update inventory. Oh. That too. There we go. So it kind of is working, it kind of is not. You can kind of see how there's like, they're not stacking all the way up to 5 every time. Oh wow, that's kind of laggy too. Of course, that's on every tick, so it's not surprising. And frame not in module because we had a memory leak or something. Yeah, so there you go. That's kind of how we can do that. So... Well, that's interesting. So at what temperature they become a certain type of... become a certain state, I guess. So at 4,780 degrees Kelvin, or I guess it's 4,788 Kelvin, cobalt becomes a gas. Good to know. But yeah, so that's going to be it for tonight, I think, for the stream. Hope you enjoyed it if you watched it live on Twitch or YouTube. If you're watching afterwards on YouTube, comments, questions, leave them below. And if you haven't done so already, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. And well, let me check my... I think I do have a stream set up for tomorrow, don't I? At 3, yeah. So we'll see what we'll stream tomorrow. I might stream stuff for MLR, maybe. I might stream KSP. Just depends on a couple of things. Although I may miss the stream too because I have to do some work for work, so we'll see how that all goes. But for right now, the plan is tomorrow at 3 is going to be another stream. Don't know how long. Probably not too long. Probably an hour, hour and a half. Something like that. And then... that'll be that. So, I will see you tomorrow.